say any more.
Gee, I gotta thank you. When I saw those cars out there, I told my nephew who's filming today, all those people are here for this presentation. And I said, I'm only kidding. But I'm really glad that you guys took out the time to come out this morning. I had to go to work this morning, wear my chase clothes, and then stay for half an hour and chase quickly, and then come over here, and as soon as I finish here, I gotta go right back to work. It would give me the day off so I could stay here longer. I'm gonna do a general presentation about what I do, and I've been doing for the last 6 years. Please feel free. I'm gonna try to do this quick enough, and again, it's only a general overview. I like to give people time to question, because a lot of people usually have a million questions. You know, they want to know the secret, you know? And if I knew the secret, I'd be a multi-billionaire, and I'd share it with all of you. We're going to talk today about diet and lifestyle change, okay? Versus lifestyle change. Because diet, we hear it every day. You go to Wegmans, and they got like 50 magazines and tell you how you got the magic pill. You can lose 60 pounds in 2 weeks. You know, you can lose 70 pounds in 2 months. You don't know how many phone calls I get from people who say, hey, thank you. I love your story, but I'm in a wedding next month and I need to lose 60 pounds. I said, just cut off one of your legs and you lose the 60 pounds. That's one way to do it. Otherwise, you're calling the wrong guy. I'm not into gimmicks. I'm not into solving solutions overnight. It took me a long time to get where I was at, and I have to take the time to go. So the company that I have is called Healthy Journey Now, and it's one day at a time. And I'll talk to you why I came up with that name. And I use a scripture that I always remember: I can do all things through Him who strengthens me. You know, and that's my motto. This is my disclaimer. I am not a doctor or a dietitian. I'm an individual who decided to take control of my life. You should see a doctor before you start any weight loss plan. So anybody I work with individually, or groups that I work with, I tell them to see the doctor, because any change in your life, I started out, my doctor she's been the love of my life, and she really helped me through the struggle, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. This is who I was 6 years ago. And you know, I looked at this picture this morning, and I was smiling and I was awake. Most of the time I wasn't. I was weighing 423 pounds. Most of the time, if I found a couch or a chair, I was asleep or dozing off. And I used to travel a lot. As Jimmy knows, I used to work with Jimmy, and I used to travel all over the country, San Francisco. And you get on a plane, and all the women, most of the women, would say, God, please don't let me sit next to me. You know, they were terrified. You know, and I don't blame them. And I would, you know, traveling to San Francisco to Boston was very uncomfortable. Then you have to ask the stewardess to give you that extra belt, because you know, the extension. And some of them were kind, some would bring it down walking down the aisle. So it was humiliating and embarrassing. It was very uncomfortable. But that was who I was at that time. I'm the same person I'm there, just a little lighter than I was at that time. And that was almost 6 years ago that I was weighing that much. You know, this week I was at my mom's house, and I was showing her that picture, and she goes, I don't remember you being that big. My wife doesn't remember being that big. In fact, I have very little pictures when I was that large, because I saw a camera, I would split. I would go into, he knows, I would go into another room, and it was my daughter, my oldest daughter, who took a couple of pictures and gave to me later on, and I look at those pictures and I say, wow. But you know how things happen. How did I get there, you know? This is a famous picture that we all know. What was my journey? When I was in high school, when I got married to my wife, who I've been married to now going on 43 years, Diana, I was weighing 161 pounds, and I thought I was overweight, you know? 161 pounds. I think I got one leg to weigh that much, you know? 161 pounds, and I was in gymnastics, I was in karate, I ran, I was in high school and in college, I was very athletic. But what happened was, I went to work for IBM, I went to work for Marbury, I started working for companies, and I thought I was doing pretty well. I was traveling all over the United States, and I was entertaining people. I was taking people for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner, and I thought it was for free, but it wasn't for free. I was paying a price. because I was entertaining. I had an American Express card, and I was taking people out to eat, and I could eat all I wanted. And I did a good job for my company. I went out there and ate and ate and ate. And over time, over a 30-year period, you know, and I remember getting to 181, and I'm like, wow, I'm picking up a little weight. I'll get back to it when I get time. Then I remember getting to 193 and 200. I remember getting to 230, and I said, wow, this is getting a little out of control. But you know, you start developing bad habits, which are hard to break. And it just got worse, and then 230, after 230, it became a dull bore in my life, okay? Which happens to so many people, and happened to more and more people. So my journey over 30, you know, I didn't wake up one morning and say, whoa, there goes 200 pounds, where did it come from? It happens over time, you don't even realize it. And you know, I started realizing that you look in the mirror, and the mirror doesn't, you know, people tell you the mirror always tells you the truth. Not really. If you look at the mirror long enough, it starts to lie with you. It doesn't, and tell you, hey, you don't look that bad. You know, you put in a little extra pounds. Extra pound, I went from 161 to over 400 pounds. But it did it so slowly, you don't even realize it. It really starts to take over your life, and it becomes something on its own. So that's part of my story. You got to realize that overeating is a billion-dollar business and growing like crazy. Right now, CDC, Center for Disease Control, is telling us that in the United States alone, that by 2030, which is only 15 years from now, 83% of our country, our children, our adults, our senior citizens will be overweight, and over 50% of them will be obese. That we can't sustain medically, financially, our jobs, the police, the fire. You know, I was listening to a general. He was saying in Camp Pendleton, where they do a lot of training for recruits, that half of the people, 70% of the new troops coming in who are going to serve our country can't pass a general PE exam. That's unbelievable. That's a high school gym exam. That we consume billions of calories, which turns into billions of dollars. We are the industry's, I tell people, we're the industry's sugar mama, you know? They enjoy the fact that we're overweight and we eat a lot. This is a war between us and them. The diet industry is a billion-dollar business and growing and growing. We have pills, we have gimmicks and so-called cures. We have surgery that works and sometimes doesn't work. So it's a big moneymaker. It's not something that a lot of people want to see go away. What does diet mean to me? You know, every time I was on a diet, I don't know how many thousands of times. I was on every diet you could think. I was on a watermelon diet and I gained weight because I ate so many watermelons. I didn't realize how much sugar there is in the watermelon. I used to drink liters of orange juice because I thought orange juice was good for you, and I didn't realize that orange juice has more sugar than Coca-Cola. So I was drinking tons of it, and I'm telling my doctor I'm gaining weight, you know? So, because we're looking for a way out. We're looking for something instant to happen in our lives. It took us 30 years to get to this point, but you want it to go away in 2 weeks. And every time I think of diet, I think of dying. You know, people tell me, what diet are you on? I'm not on a diet. I was on a diet. I lost the same 20 pounds like 500 times. Lose 20 pounds, gain 30. Lose 30 pounds, gain 35 pounds. You know, you go on that merry-go-round, and it goes round, and it goes, and we don't get it. And I tell people that when you take the word diet and you unscramble it, it means time. Because it tells you you can't eat this, you can't eat this. I love chocolate with peanuts. I love strawberry cake. I love cheesecake. And then what you're telling me, when I go on a diet, you got to give this up, this up, this up. Come on, what a way to start a life. You know, you can eat only certain times, you can only eat this proportion. You can't eat the things you enjoy, you have to join a gym and you have to do this many times. It never worked for me. And it doesn't work for most people out there. So diet is a word that I try to, but the people I work with, erase it out of your mind. You're not going to go on a diet. Because a diet has a beginning and it has an end. Your life doesn't have a beginning and end. You know, you got to live forever. And you got to live with this body forever. So I tell people, get it out of your mind. We're not going on a diet. And everybody's different. What works for you, if it works for you, might not work for me, might work for her or him. So I tell people, we got to do something different. We've tried this for so many years, it ain't working. It's just making the industry very, very rich. The frustrations of being overweight. Clothes, can't buy the clothes in the style, you gotta buy big clothes. The health problems. I had diabetes, I had high blood pressure, and the worst part in my life, I don't know how it is for you, insomnia was the biggest problem. I had difficulty sleeping. I would go to sleep and wake up every hour, and it got so bad with my sleeping that I was giving a meeting, one of the companies I was at, an engineering meeting, and I was giving a meeting and I fell asleep during the meeting. That's how bad, and the head of engineering said, you got a problem, you better take care of it, I knew I had a problem. The physical problem with your knees and with your joints. I couldn't run. I used to play racquetball. I had to stop doing all that because I couldn't do it. Just getting to the mailbox was the problem. You feel out of control. You feel you've lost all control of the way you live. And then you start interpreting how you see yourself by the way other people see you, how they snicker when you go into Burger King, somebody's children say, why is that guy so big, Look how big he is, and the mother's trying to turn him around and correct him, You listen to that. What do you see when you look at the mirror? You start talking to yourself, oh my God, and you start, those things really affect you mentally. They affect the person you become. Then you get that sense of hopelessness, and that's how you get into depression, because you feel you have no control of your life. And that's the worst feeling, when you feel you have no control of your life. And it affects your spiritual life. It affects everything about you, your personal being. Problems with overweight, it affects our work. I was talking to a manager of a company the other day, and she was telling me that after 2 o'clock, and her employees work from 9 to 5, she could tell you that after 2 o'clock, her overweight employees start becoming less and less productive. For an employee, that's a scary thing. And I can see why employers, when I used to apply for a job, they took one look at me and said, oh, we have no openings. We have no openings. You can tell that look when they looked at you. They're like, they sound real good over the phone. The minute we have a face-to-face meeting, the meeting is over. But that's the reality. A lot of employees give you incentives to lose weight and to stop smoking. You're going to start seeing a lot of companies now start to penalize you if you're overweight or you smoke, by making you pay more for insurance, pay penalties. Some companies are doing it already, but you're going to see more of that because, and nothing else. It affects our relationship, the relationship with our spouse, with our children, with our parents. It really does affect. You don't think it does, but it does. It affects our health. My high blood pressure just kept getting worse, my diabetes, and my sleep insomnia. Of course, it's been proven over and over again that it creates a shorter lifespan. When I was 12 years old, I didn't care about lifespan. I care about it now that I'm 63 years old. It affects our appearance. And everybody says it doesn't matter how you look. To a certain point, it sure does. It sure does. And how we influence our children and our grandchildren. That's very important in my life. How I influence my children and my grandchildren. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Food, we need food. I hear people tell me, I know I'm going to lose weight in 2 weeks, I'm going to stop eating. But you can't stop eating. Your body needs nourishment. You need to eat. What you eat is a different ballgame, but you can't stop eating. Okay? I used to have the Dracula syndrome. He couldn't wait to get to your neck and drink your blood. And I used to think about that. When I saw food, I couldn't wait to get to it. I go to the supermarket, my wife sent me to shop, and I'm looking at what the potato chips, the cheese doodles, the candy aisle, forget it. The candy aisle was my favorite aisle. Anything with peanuts, I loved it. Okay? That was my Dracula syndrome. We drive through. We don't walk to restaurants anymore. We don't need the car, We get out of the garage and step into that car. We get to the restaurant. We don't even want to go in. We want them to dump it in the window. We don't cook as much. I have a friend of mine who had a construction company, built houses. And he tells me, after one, you get a 12-month warranty for your house. And at the end of 12 months, he comes to your house to make sure a final look over your house. And he goes, you don't know how many young people's houses that I go to, because mostly he builds houses for starter homes for young people, where the oven still has the stickers inside that are hanging. That means in that 12 months, they never cook one thing or bake one thing. But that's the reality. We go to Wegmans and we get that $6 meal and we throw it into the microwave. We're eating, we're not hungry. We're emotionally eating. You know, we're eating when we're standing up. We can't even wait to get to the table. We're eating while we're watching television. We're eating at the computer. And we eat because it feels good. You're under that pressure. Get a bag of popcorn or get whatever it is you're going to eat because it makes me feel good. Why are we overweight? We know the reasons. Restaurants, eating out. We consume 600 calories, consume more daily versus 30 years ago. Well, I came from a poor family, so food was very limited. We didn't go to restaurants. My mother cooked everything, you know? It was healthy. Now we have food. You have a lot of food in the aisles of the stores that never grew anyplace. It was made out of bottles, you know, chemicals. We eat so much processed foods, few cooked meals. Foods are mega sized. Remember when we used to drink Coke when we were young? The bottles were like this, 6 ounces, you know? The little bottle like this, you drank it. Now we need a carriage to bring the bottle. It's so big, you know? We got those gulp sizes. They're like this, you know? You can do weightlifting with some of the sizes. So little or no exercise. We take elevators, escalators. We park. We got to park right in front of the building. We'll wait until there's a space because we want to make sure we can get in the building quick. Well, that's hurting us, you know? All entertainment is centered around. Now we have entertainment rooms, so we don't even have to go to the theater. We see it right in the house. We sit a nice comfortable sofa, and we digest all this. Our living room. We spend so much time in our living room. We don't take a walk with the children, with the grandchildren, with our spouses. We're locked up. We do very little. God made us to walk. He made us to move around. And we do a lot of emotional eating. Really, that's not what is getting us in trouble. All those things that I pointed out. And it took me a while. When I first got into doing this, changing my life, I did it because I wanted to fit into nicer clothes. And I wanted my wife, when she looked at me, that she liked what she see. That's what it started out to be, but that's not what it ended up to be. And I started realizing that food is not the problem. You know, when I walked down the aisle of the supermarket, it wasn't the bag of the potato chips that wrestled me to the ground, took me by the neck, and forced me to buy those chips and take it home. So the food was not the problem. And we got to realize that. It wasn't eating less and walking that made me lose the weight. It was the outcome of doing those things, but it's really not what changed my life. It's not the pills, the programs, or the surgery that did anything for me. It's what I did in my head and in my heart. I had to change years and years and years of programming. Years, and we'll talk about that. I had to change what's here, that I can know that I can control what I ate and that I can control this body and this life. And I had to really feel it. And it took me a long time to get to that point. And that's when it became a lifestyle change instead of a diet. Going back to where you were trained to do. I've been trained for so many years to stop at every McDonald's or Burger King. And you know, because it's an easy thing when I used to travel a lot, go to a fast food restaurant, make it fast, quick, do it without thinking. I was trained to do that for so long. I had to retrain myself. Eliminating all the conditioning over years. You know, I do a lot of walking now. And one of the things, when I first started walking, I'd see these little flags, the white flags that are in the property, and I see 2 dogs come running out, and as soon as they get to the flag, they stop. I thought they were, you take care, thank you for stopping there. I thought they were going to attack me, and as soon as they got to, I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what an invisible fence is. You know, and what it is it's a cable that's running underneath. That dog is wearing a collar, and as soon as he gets to the fence, he feels that jolt, he'll stop right there. I felt that's the way my life was. Every time I go on a diet and I get to a certain point, I go right back. And after a while, you see they eliminate the flags, don't have to put the flags anymore, because those dogs are conditioned to stop at that point. And I felt that's the way my life was. I have to replace the behavior that I created over the last 30 years and replace it with something else. What I learned through these 6 years is that very basic. You have the calories consumed, the food that you eat, and it's balanced by how much you burn off. If you eat a lot and you're not burning anything off, guess what? That's going to come down. Basic. We don't have to reinvent. It's not like we're trying to develop a medication for cancer, which we're spending billions of dollars. We know what it means to stay where we're at or to lose. If we affect the amount of food we eat and we do more activity, we actually start losing weight. Yet, such a basic thing, and we don't do it. We're looking for a way out. We're trying to find a way to lose this weight by doing something else that can happen quick. Pop a pill. What I did, I asked God to give me strength. I did, because I needed the strength to do this. I put a plan together. I stopped dieting. I just said, I'll never diet again. I took control of my life. And again, these are not easy things to do, but these are things that I eat less at every meal. I'm not the kind of guy who goes to the store and buys everything vegetarian, and I'm not knocking that. I wish I could do that. I still like my pork, I still like my baked chicken, fried chicken, whatever, but I eat a lot less of it. I eat it in small proportions, and I'm very careful how much of it I eat. I don't eat it that much, okay? So you have to plan. You have to put a plan together. I ate less at every meal. And I mentally planned my daily meals to eat less. I started thinking ahead of time. It became like just like I did in my job, I did it with my life. I started saying, well, this is what I'm gonna have for breakfast. I had a good breakfast, so I gotta be careful with lunch, maybe some fruits, maybe half a sandwich. I started doing it, I started planning everything. I ate less every meal. I started walking. And that's where the biggest, when I started to see my weight drop, I started walking. And I picked walking because walking is cheap. So nobody charges you for that. And it's easy. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't play. My doctor, I would see my doctor every 3 months. She said, you can't play racquetball, you can't play tennis, you'll kill yourself. You know, you break your knees, all your joints, you know, and I respected what she said. You gotta start slowly. And I like walking because everybody can walk. And you can walk with your children, you can walk with your grandma, you can walk with you can walk with anybody, okay? I even walk with a disabled veteran who's in a wheelchair. He comes with me in his wheelchair, and we walk together in my neighborhood. So, and I do a whole conversation about what happened. Walking is a phenomenal thing, because as I started walking, and I was walking at my job for 35 minutes, 5 days a week, where I used to work, and I started dictating to myself everything that I learned. I have thousands and thousands of tapes of everything I learned, and I started embracing the I started realizing birds, hear the birds chirping. I started realizing houses that are in my neighborhood that I never noticed before. I started thinking about my wife and my kids, about my life. I mean, it just, instead of having a cell phone, instead of having a TV, watching a program, now when I don't walk, I miss it so bad. Now I walk with my children, I walk with my my life has affected so much of my family, and I talked about that before. I changed my lifestyle, and that's what I tell people. If you want to permanently lose weight, you got to change your lifestyle. You got to change the way you live, and you'll love it. I knew I was on a journey, and there was no turning back. I don't know how many people come up to me, aren't you afraid you're going to gain all that weight? No, not at all. I changed my lifestyle. I moved. I'm beyond where I was before. That is not a fear I have anymore. Why a healthy journey? It took a long time for me to get to where I was. It was a journey there. It's going to take me a while to come back. It ain't going to happen in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years. It's taken me 5.5 years to lose the weight. I still have about 25 more pounds that I want to lose. It took me a journey to get there. It's going to take a journey back. And I tell people, this journey is like if you decided to leave Rochester and move to California. You sell all your items, you sell your house, you pack everything on the truck, and you head to California. But if your truck, you know, the transmission falls apart in Detroit, you don't take that truck and put it on a flatbed and bring it back. you get it fixed, and you get on with and you go on to California. The same thing with your lifestyle change. There's no falling off the wagon. There's no going back. It's a lifestyle change. Old habits have to die. It takes knowing that you can do it. It takes commitment. And you know, you go to the stores and you see all these newspapers, and I look at them and I laugh now. Before I used to pay a lot of attention to them, I used to buy them. You know, lose, you know, this movie starts telling you, oh, you can lose 30 pounds in 2.5 weeks. I want to buy them and see how they did it. You know, and all these magazines that tell you all these gimmicks, okay? It takes commitment, it takes time, it takes planning. There is no failure because there's no timetable. A diet, you know, this is what you gotta lose in a month. There is no timetable with this kind of plan. It's a lifestyle change. We're gonna change over time. And one of the things you start to savor each moment while you take control of your life. It does an awful lot to you mentally. It does an awful lot with the people around you. It's just, I can't explain to you. And it's not about the losing weight. That's just a part of it. What it does to your mind and your head. It makes you into a totally different person. Just ask my kids and my grandchildren. How about now? My life now. I enjoy my food. When I sit down and I eat something, before it was like, you know, fill it up so I can get a second plate before they finish the food, and a third plate. I don't do now. Before, when I used to buy pizza for my kids, I'd buy a whole pizza for them and a whole pizza for myself. You know, and I look at it and I almost laugh now, because I was pretty sad. I used to have a whole pizza for myself. Now, I eat a slice, and if I eat 2 slices, I'm dying. You know, because your stomach starts to shrink. You know, you get satisfied. But I have such an I really enjoy food now. I realized I never enjoyed food before because I was eating so fast. And I don't eat while I watch television. I don't eat while I'm on the computer. I sit down and I enjoy the food and savor every morsel, every taste. And if you eat slower, you get full. You actually get full as opposed to eating so fast and then you realize you're bloated. I feel good about myself. It really does to you, and also a lot to you about feeling good about yourself. You don't live on the daily fear of failing. Diets, you always work. Am I gonna? Okay, I blew it, so I'm gonna start the diet 2 weeks from now. Forget about the diet this 2 weeks. My walk is different. My clothes fit. My health has improved. They took me off of high blood pressure pills 2 years ago. I don't have high blood pressure. My family all has diabetes. My father and mother had diabetes. I've had diabetes almost all my life. My doctor 3 months ago told me I don't have to monitor my diabetes anymore. So it's amazing. But the biggest blessing in my life has been the insomnia. Because it was horrible. You know, you go to work and you're half asleep all the time. I hated it. And I couldn't sleep. You know, I don't know if you ever had that problem, not being able to sleep. That was my life every day. Now I go to bed, I hit that pillow, I'm out cold. So there are a lot of other side effects that I never planned on. Enjoy my grandchildren. What I didn't tell you, what made me follow this journey. With all the things that happened in my life, the traveling, the embarrassments, and all the things that I went in my life, it was in the backyard of my house. My grandson, his name is Julian, my daughter's son, was back then, he had a football in his hand. And I could barely get back to the backyard. That was pretty big at that time. He had the football in his hand. He was only like 7 years old. And he said, "Grandpa, I wish you weren't so big so we could play with you." I could not sleep that night. Because I started thinking, all my grandchildren, all the grandchildren that I have, my children, I might not be around for them if I continue going to where 423 pounds, am I going to get to 500 pounds? And that whole night, and I went to see my doctor the next day. I went to her and because I was thinking of doing the surgery and doing all that. And she said, "Hey, you know something? You used to like to walk. Why don't you just walk and eat less? Instead of having 3 plates of food, just have 1 plate of food." That's what she said to me. And I said, "You gotta be kidding, that's all I gotta do?" She said, "Yeah, if you do that, you'll lose the weight you want." So I took it to heart. I didn't know it was that easy. I was trying to find all the gimmicks. And she said, "Eat, instead of 3 plates of food, have 1 plate of food." And it's worked for me. So My walk is different, my clothes fit, my health has improved tremendously. I'm enjoying my grandchildren, and why I'm enjoying my grandchildren is because they're enjoying me. It's affected. I had a grandson who was very overweight, 11 years old, and it really blew me away because I started seeing him losing weight, but I didn't know why he was losing weight. He was losing weight, then he joined the basketball team, and he joined the football team. And one day he said, hey, I'm going to run with you at the canal because I'm training for a 5K race. He said, I'm going to go with you. And they were doing a taping of my story while I was running. He said, can I say something? I said, yeah. He said, you can talk. And he got on the tape and he said, I want to thank my grandfather because I was overweight over a year ago. And I followed his example. I started doing what he was doing. And I've lost all the weight now. I'm doing football team. Come on. That's better than $1 million. That's much better than $1 million. So I started realizing that I was not only affecting myself, I was affecting my children. It affected my children. I have a son who's a two-packer, a smoker. He gave it up 8 months ago. He's training with me right now, him and his wife, for a 5K race. They go every other day with me at Canal. So because you can't help it. It affects you. It's going to affect all those people around you. The people in my job, I've got everybody in my job walking, okay, and watching what they eat. My health has improved, joined my grandchildren, and I'm enjoying tremendously my journey. What to do? Master your life. Master your own body. Celebrate life. Life is so wonderful. There's so much to it. Put food in its perspective. Don't blame food. Enjoy food. Get support from family and friends. Don't give this responsibility to no one else, to no pill company. I've been approached by pill companies, by doctors, to push a program that I would make a lot of money. And I said, no, I can't do that. That's not the way I did it. Learn to eat healthy. Enjoy some type of exercise, whatever it's swimming, whatever it is. Believe you are God's creation and you have a purpose in your life. It's a phenomenal thing. Why are you here? There's a quote that I saw a while ago and I took it. You cannot change your future, but you can change your habits. And surely your habits will change your future. How true is that? That's pretty heavy duty. I wanted to show you a picture of one of my many walks with some of my grandchildren. I walk with all my grandchildren and my children. That's my son who gave up smoking. Now he's biking. Before he would be 2 packs a day. He couldn't breathe, you know. And that's his wife there, so they're both training with me. And that's the grandson that I was telling you that God is, look how he's looking. And he's big into health. He's running and walking. And those are my grandchildren. Really is affecting them. Then I want to show you my trophy. Everybody needs something to remind them because sometimes over 6 years you forget where you came from. And every once in a while, this is a jacket. I had 2 jackets. I remember buying these jackets when I was working. And I hated them because they were, when you're that big, they don't make clothes, nice looking clothes. You gotta buy them in certain stores. And they're ugly and I hated them, but they're the only clothes that can fit. This is the last jacket that I bought. This is, and every once in a while I gotta put it on to remember where I came from. And as you can see, I can wrap it around quite a bit. And this jacket used to be tight on me when I bought it. And thank God my wife was the one that said keep it so you can remember. And every once in a while I got it, and it keeps getting bigger. You know, I can make it into a tent pretty soon. But so this is in a short form. You know, when I go and do presentations, I do presentations on walking, on eating, and so many other. But to do it in one day, this is a quick synopsis of my life and the lives of many people who've done the same and who are doing the same. I have a Facebook page. I hear from people from Florida, from California, from Texas, all over the country who write to me and tell me the story. The worst stories that I get are people who commit suicide because of young people, because they've tried every program and it hasn't worked for them. And I get there too late. I've had people in my classes, young people, who've attempted to commit suicide. People don't realize this is a serious problem. Look around the elementary schools, you see children who are weighing 150, 180 pounds. Children in 4th and 5th grade. So I'm open for questions if anybody has any.